You have a secret admirer. This is somebody that the moment that they first saw you, you stopped them in their tracks. They did a double take. You changed this person's direction, and they were like, whoa, who is that? It feels like this is someone who is very mesmerized by your presence, very mesmerized by your beauty, very mesmerized by the way that you carry yourself. This is somebody that has been kind of like mapping out a course towards you, trying to dig up as much information as they can, doing a little spying, maybe on social media, or this could be somebody in your community that's been like asking around about you to see if anyone knows you, if anyone kind of has any insights as far as like if you're single, if you're available, sort of what's your backstory, what do you have going on in your life. And it feels like this person's not really coming up with a whole lot. And so they're sort of feeling like, okay, I'm going to have to walk blind into this situation, but I would rather kind of like take a step forward and be rejected than sit always with the question of like, I wonder what might have happened if I had approached this very captivating person, if I had reached out, if I had introduced myself. Yeah, this energy of routine. It feels like this is somebody that if they have found you on social media, they look forward to kind of like your regular posts, the things that you put out, content that you put out. This can even be somebody that if you aren't like, you don't have like a social media, you're not like an influencer, something like that. This can just be somebody that's like a friend of a friend, somebody that knows somebody that is following you like on your personal social media. So this can even be something where, they might sort of use like a middleman to get an introduction to you. Something where they've asked like the mutual friend, the mutual acquaintance. This could even be somebody that knows a family member of yours. They've asked about you, or they have been like an active listener if sort of your name has been brought up in conversation or anything about you has been mentioned. That might have actually been how this person first caught sight of you for a lot of you, is like somebody was, talking you up, somebody was gassing you up, somebody was like really proud of you and like, hey, that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my friend, that's my cousin, that's my coworker, even for some, and they're sort of like sharing things about like your personal life or accomplishments. Like it's nothing negative, like, gossip in that sense, but it's like somebody was really speaking very highly of you, and whatever it is that they were saying, almost the way in which this other person's kind of face really lit up, or they were speaking about you with a huge sense of pride in who you are and who you've become, and kind of like whatever you have going on in your life at this particular point in time. It was something that was very positive. And so this person, like if it is that social media connection, they went ahead and looked at your profile, they went ahead and looked at your picture. They're kind of like, okay, I've taken this story in, I've heard this, I've taken note of this, let me go look into this further. Let me, I really like this person. It's my friend, it's my coworker, it's somebody that I've known for a while. So let me look into, just out of, boredom or curiosity, this person that they speak so highly of. And it's like they caught sight of you and it was just like, whoa, okay, this person's a knockout. This person's like really attractive. This person has a lot going for them. If you do have some kind of like online business, online kind of like social media presence that is public, that is like able to be accessed by people, then this is definitely somebody who has subscribed, is following, is kind of like watching from the wings, sort of waiting for that opportunity to step forward and speak. For those of you that this is somebody that has like, encountered you or caught sight of you directly, like within your community or something, then they definitely sort of are like, it's a regular time and place where they usually see you. So this could be like somebody at the gym, this could be somebody that, owns a store or like a little restaurant or coffee shop you go to, something where they might even like work there, they see you regularly. It's something where you're that familiar face in the crowd, but there's yet to be that kind of like bridging of the gap between the two of you in terms of them like formally introducing themselves, them kind of like expressing an interest to get to know you more. This is not giving like creeper vibes or anything like that. These energies feel to be somebody that is just kind of like, honestly, hey, I'm single, I'm, interested in kind of like meeting people, or, seeing if there's some kind of spark, some kind of chemistry here. It feels like this person is just sort of like watching from the wings at this particular point in time, because it's almost like, okay, how do I approach? What do I say? What's kind of the right circumstance? For those of you where this is somebody that it's like there's like a third person that would be that sort of intermediary, not like a third party, but like somebody that they know, and then like that person, then that might be the preferred method. Almost kind of like if there's a party, if there's an event, if there's some kind of get together where it's like, okay, I think you'll probably be there. I'm going to make a point to kind of approach you. I'm going to make a point to seek you out. I'm going to make a point to talk to you at that event that I know that you will be at, or something where it's kind of like, they may even be kind of like working up the courage, working up the nerve to ask that person, hey, could you get me an introduction? Hey, do you think, your family member, or your friend, or like your coworker for somebody, do you think they'd be interested? Are they single, or are they dating? Could you, like give me their phone number, or give them my phone number, something like that, where there's that ability then to kind of almost like get your guard down a little bit through that sense of almost kind of like a safe person, like a buffer, like that cushion between the two of you, somebody that could like vouch for this individual, that it's not just this random person, popping out of nowhere, kind of like, hey, I saw your profile, I like your vibe, so what's up? This is somebody that, if they can avoid kind of like taking that approach, like if it's unnecessary, then they're going to avoid that by all means. For those of you that this is somebody though that it's like in your community, then it's like they're just going to have to speak. There may be somebody that they see or that they're aware of that you're like friendly with, or that seems to know you, and so there could even be that kind of like that sort of an introduction in terms of like, okay, I'm gonna make a point to be here at this particular point in time, or sort of try to get any kind of information that I can about you, so that I'm not just again kind of like coming in as like a stranger off the street, but there's some kind of like common ground between the two of us. We also have abundance. So it feels like this person definitely has a lot to offer, a lot of love to give. They come in with a lot of stability as a person, a really good sense of self. This is not somebody that has a whole lot of emotional baggage. They don't have this like huge roster of people that they're dealing with or that they're talking to. This is nobody that's like waiting on an ex to return. This is somebody that was just kind of like going through the motions of their life, living their life, and all of a sudden you popped on the radar. All of a sudden you came to their attention, to the forefront of their attention, and it has piqued their interest. So this is somebody that definitely wants to show you a very genuine experience of romance. They very genuinely want to kind of take that bold step towards you, but then let you sort of set the pace and tone as far as how things progress, how things unfold, because they're not even sure, like, is this going to be mutual attraction, or is this going to be something one-sided? It feels like this is somebody that is kind of at a phase in their life where they can handle rejection, but they're almost like cautious as far as not putting themselves unnecessarily in circumstances where it's kind of like they're wasting your time, or there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of compatibility. This person might even be very quick to kind of just like, okay, the vibe seems off, or you don't really seem interested, so let me save you the trouble of kind of like, rejecting me further down the road, and I'll take the hint and indicator. So a little bit of woundedness that they're working with, in that sense. So it may be something where they almost, and this can be an aspect of abundance where this person almost comes in and they're like very direct, they're very to the point, they're very just like, hey, here's a lot about me, or here are certain things, so kind of what you might potentially be getting into, the type of person I am, just like surface level details almost. They don't want to play coy with that. This is somebody that is kind of like, obviously it'll take time to sort of get to know the deeper layers of one another, or establish like a rapport, or like conversation with one another. It'd take a while to kind of like chat, or to warm up to each other, even if there's like that third party, that third person that would be sort of the intermediary, the middleman, the person that would like introduce the two of you, or like vouch for this person. There's a sense though that this individual like wants to put their best foot forward, because they're not, again, like wanting to waste your time, wanting to waste their time. It's sort of like, okay, let's just cut to the chase and sort of figure out here, am I somebody you'd be interested in? Are you even at a point in your life where you're like looking to date, you're looking for romance? This is somebody that's like, I don't bring any baggage with me, but I don't know what kind of baggage you have going on. So this isn't just someone that's gonna like throw you at your throw themselves at your feet and be just like, hey, do you want me? Do you like me? Kind of just take me as I am. There's something where they also are at a point within themselves that it's like, if you seem distracted, if you seem, like you're not really kind of invested, you're not really feeling it, you're not kind of vibing along with them, then they are kind of like, I'm going to spare myself sort of, the disappointment, and I don't have any problem kind of like directing my sights elsewhere. I don't have any sort of like difficulty or issue with taking hints and kind of like moving forward in another direction. Although again, this is somebody that might be very kind of like almost very sensitive, very kind of quick to sort of like, okay, it doesn't seem like you're really into it, doesn't seem like you're really feeling me, but it doesn't feel like somebody that's just gonna like have that sort of internal or private kind of thought to themselves and then they ghost. It's almost something that they might kind of like express that to you if there was something where your discernment's heightened. Maybe you're in a place where you're like, I'm not just opening up to anyone, I'm not just like letting anyone inside very quickly as I might have done in the past. This is somebody, it feels like that they would like bring that to the table. They would express that, like, it doesn't really seem like you're into this, or I don't really know, am I your type, am I what you're looking for? Like, they would be saying that as they would be getting ready maybe to kind of move on in another direction or cut off communication with you. And so that could be like a door of opportunity. Like, if you're into this person, if you do like this person, if the level of abundance they bring to the table is like what you're looking for, that's that perfect opportunity for you to be like, wait, no, okay, hey, here's somebody that is more emotionally mature than people I've dealt with in the past. Here's somebody that actually has some communication skills, unlike people I've dealt with in the past. Here is somebody that is, giving me like honesty before just sort of shutting the door or ghosting. And that can be definitely something that if you choose to explore this like secret admirer crush, this like potential further, this is the kind of situation where it's like, that's a lot to work with, because then it can open up those lines of discussion where you're like stopping this person before they walk out the door. It's like, wait a minute, no, okay, let's back up here, yeah. Let me let my guard down a little bit. It's been a while since I've dated. It's been a while since I talked to anyone. I had some really gnarly experiences with other people, and it's kind of made me guarded. I have my walls up. I got my armor up. Whatever level of honesty you want to have with this person, it feels like it's something that they will be the one to kind of at some point sort of take that first step forward in that sense, letting you know some degree of insecurity that's kind of like triggered based on kind of two people, it feels like, that are a bit standoffish. Like, this person comes in with enthusiasm, but there's also the sense of sort of like, I don't know if I'm what you're looking for, and I don't just want to like chase someone that is, maybe has a hard time saying no. I don't want to chase someone that is just going to end up like rejecting me eventually. So it may be a really good opportunity then for you to sort of, advocate for yourself, you to speak up, you to be like, hey, okay, here's someone that is expressing their deep personal truth. And if this is something that I'm interested in, this is somebody that I want to continue to get to know, then I need to provide them with a certain degree of reassurance so we can keep that conversation going. We also have preparation. Yeah, so the secret admirer is in the preparation phase to speak their truth, to approach you, to introduce themselves, or for some, if this can even be somebody where if it's like that social media connection, it's like a friend of a family member, a friend of a friend of a coworker, like a former coworker, just somebody that through like 6 degrees of separation almost. This may be somebody where you'd be familiar with who they are, like you've heard their name before, or you've seen kind of them comment on this person's social media, you've seen their profile, you could easily kind of look at that person's follow list or the friend list, and it's kind of like, okay, here's this person, and it would be very easy to kind of like find that information as far as like, well, how do you know them, who is this kind of like person that has reached out to me that seems to know you. And this is something that this person is almost preparing themselves for that. If that's kind of the method through how they have found you, how they have discovered you, it's sort of like, yeah, I'm preparing for like a phone call from this other person, a text from this other person. Hey, so why'd you reach out to my sister? So why'd you reach out to my brother? Why'd you reach out to my friend? Are you interested in them? Kind of like, what's up? What are you bringing to the table? What's your intention? Like, they're anticipating that that might happen, but they're also anticipating that maybe you're the type of person that you're going to just take them at face value, and there's not going to be that kind of aspect of like involving other people in the situation if they're not like utilizing a third person as that kind of means of the introduction. So it feels like this is the energy of somebody that's kind of like thinking of this from all different angles and perspectives. Definitely if this is somebody that just has like seen you out and about, out in kind of your regular routine, out in your community in some sort of sense, then this can be the kind of person that is kind of like, okay, I'm building my courage, I'm working up the nerve to say hi, to introduce myself, to start to kind of like have more conversation, something more personal, this than just kind of like surface level chit chat, if it's even been that. If it's just sort of been hello, or somebody that you would know that like works at a place, owns a place, is a manager of a place, something like that, or is like a patron of a place, somebody you see regularly. It's not just going to be like, hey, there's this eye contact and we smiled from across the room and that's a step forward. Or, I said something flirty and that's that step forward. No, this is somebody that is like approaching you to talk, approaching you to have some kind of like surface level conversation, something that is, really direct, really to the point, very much kind of like, okay, here's this attraction that I have to you. Here's this window of opportunity. I'm seizing the moment. I'm putting myself out there as directly as possible to make it known. Like, I'm not just here to kind of like ask you what time it is. I'm not just here to, sort of compliment your shirt today. I'm not just here, to kind of like get you to sort of, chase me with the potential of what could happen between the two of us if I'm not willing to kind of deliver results or some like real world experience between the two of us. So this is somebody that again is like preparing, it feels like a question that they will ask that will, depending on how you answer or what that kind of does to you, piques your level of interest. Or it might be something where you might even be telling yourself like, I'm ready for love, I'm ready for romance, I'm looking to meet someone, and this person comes in and you freeze. You're the one that is kind of like, ooh, I'm triggered, I don't necessarily know. Your wall goes up, your guard goes up. That may change this person's strategy or approach, or it may just be a one-off kind of situation. Either way, it's like this person doesn't know what to expect. So they're kind of like preparing for everything, the best and the worst in this circumstance. But this is somebody that doesn't want to just like linger on the sidelines. They don't just want to be a secret admirer. They want to take that step towards you and to make it obvious and known. Hey, I'm interested. Hey, I like you. Hey, I find you attractive. Hey, I'm intrigued by you. Hey, I noticed you from across the room. Do you want to get to know one another better? So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.